A miracle in American history. Though the War of 1812 was effectively over 2 weeks earlier with the signing of the Treaty of Ghent, December 24, 1814, news had not yet reached New Orleans. On January 8th of 1815, in the last battle of the War of 1812, nearly 10,000 British soldiers advanced under cover of darkness and heavy fog, intending to surprise General Andrew Jackson's Tennessee and Kentucky sharpshooters. Andrew Jackson was aided by French pirate Jean Lafitte and his men. He actually made an agreement that if Jean Lafitte and his French pirates would help the American cause, they would be forgiven for all their piracy. Well, as the British neared, they had taken one of the American settlements, but suddenly the fog lifted, and the Americans fired and killed the British officers. And the British soldiers didn't know what to do, and so they stood in the middle of the field, and for the next 30 minutes, 2,042 British were killed or wounded, while there were only 71 American casualties. This made world news. This was the great British Army that fought Napoleon, that conquered and ruled from India to Australia and then America. And here we have the Americans killing over 2,000 and just a very small amount of American casualties. General Andrew Jackson wrote on January 26, 1815 to Robert Hayes regarding the victorious Battle of New Orleans. It appears that the unerring hand of Providence shielded my men from the shower of balls, bombs, and rockets, when every ball and bomb from our guns carried with them a mission of death. General Andrew Jackson told his aide-de-camp, Major Dave Zack, of his confidence before the battle. He said, "I was sure of success, for I knew that God would not give me previsions of disaster, but signs of victory. He said, this ditch can never be passed, it cannot be done." That phrase came from the pastor of the church in New Orleans, where Jackson visited before the battle and prayed. Jackson wrote to Secretary of War James Monroe, February 17th of 1815. "Heaven, to be sure, has interposed most wonderfully in our behalf, and I am filled with gratitude when I look back at what we have escaped." The Treaty of Ghent was ratified by the U.S. Senate February 16th, 1815. 10 days later, Napoleon escaped from the island of Elba, and all British troops had to be immediately recalled from America and sent to Europe to fight Napoleon. For the next 100 days, events in Europe cascaded toward the massive Battle of Waterloo. Had Napoleon not been such a threat to Britain, Britain would have focused its entire military might against America, and we may never have maintained the freedom that we have. Well, in America, President James Madison proclaimed for the United States a national day of thanksgiving to Almighty God, March 4th, 1815. No people ought to feel greater obligations to celebrate the goodness of the great disposer of events, distinguished by the multiplied tokens of his benign interposition. America, here we were, a brand new fledgling country, facing the British might of their most powerful navy and army that the world had seen, with an empire that stretched the globe. And we see this miraculous intervention. America is unique in world history, and it's important for us to remember these miracles in American history.